All right, good morning, guys. Welcome to another video here at Fellowship Trading and Investing. It's Thursday morning, May 1st, start of a new month. Today, we're going to be looking at a company that really popped up in the market yesterday. It attracted a lot of volume based off of a press release that it came out with, and it so happened to be a company that I've done some due diligence on these past about 2.5, 3 years or so, and just kind of my thoughts on it, why it was one of the top percentage gainers yesterday, and just kind of my stance on it, and just kind of take that information and run with it as you may. All right. So this company that popped up yesterday as one of the top percentage gainers in the whole market was STSS. So STSS is a low float micro cap company, a medical device company that their purpose is that they engineer a safer future for healthcare providers by using a premier line of safety syringes. Okay, so I started looking at Sharps STSS probably since about this time right here, as you see on this press release, the end of 2022. All right, so I have a couple press releases over the past couple years on these slides that I want to go through, and I just overall, long story short, I've gotten burned by this company a couple times, and I'm gonna show you why. This company is known for setting deadlines and always delaying it, always hitting an extension, and never really following through with what they call for. And again, I'll get to the press release that had it jump about almost 100% yesterday. So this first one that I want to show here is from December of 2022, and this is their first partnership, first distribution agreement with Nephron Pharmaceuticals. So Nephron Pharmaceuticals, at that time, they have a big facility in South Carolina where they can mass produce, these syringes and these other healthcare items. So Sharps pretty much signed an agreement to co-manufacture their portfolio of their specialized pre-filled syringes. Right here on the highlighted line here, it says, we expect to have our first products available for sale in the U.S. by the end of January 2023. All right, so this is in December 2022. They're about a month and a half away from their so-called first products being for sale in the U.S. At this time, they have zero revenue. They were just more of a research and development company. So this press release kind of marks a transition from being a R&D company to actually starting to generate revenue and sales. Okay, so again, keep that in mind. Available for sale in the U.S. by the end of January 2023. Okay. So this press release is at the end, the very last day of January 2023. And then it says they anticipate their 1.3 million units to be commercially available in February 2023. Okay, so hey, that's February's tomorrow. It's next month. Okay, no big deal. Okay, this company will transition to revenue in the first half of 2023. So, in the last press release, they said, "Oh yeah, they'll be available for sale in January." And now they're saying that they'll start recognizing the revenue in the first half. Okay, so just a couple months of a delay, not a big deal. All right, let's go to the next one. This is July, so now we're in the middle of the year already, 2023. Okay, company is now advancing its products from research and development to commercial sales that are expected to launch in 2023. Okay, so they first said that they expected to have their products ready for commercial sales at the end of January, and then they said in February. Now they're just saying in 2023. They didn't really give a time frame, whether it be first half, second half, fourth quarter, third quarter. Now they're just expecting in 2023. So still at this point, they haven't sold a single thing. Okay. They entered an agreement with a major medical device company that will begin the qualification process for its smart safety technology to help drive commercial revenue. So these products that they want to ship, that they want to sell in their portfolio, Now they're just beginning a qualification process. So they're not even available for sale yet. They're shipping their products out to these companies for the qualification process to make sure that they meet the criteria to be in compliance with maybe FDA or any sort of medical commissions, agencies, and stuff like that. So let's see. Sharps will begin production of the inventory products in the fourth quarter of 2023. This work will be the first efforts to support the co-manufacturing agreement between Sharps and Nephron at the prefilled syringe Inject Easy operation in South Carolina. So this press release in the middle of 2023 says that this is the first efforts to support the agreement. But back in December and back in January, they claimed that they had already shipped out their products to that Inject Easy operation to start getting sales. So I'm just not too sure if that never happened, because if they're claiming that this right here, the beginning of the production, which will happen in the fourth quarter of 2023, will be the first kind of steps of that agreement, whatever happened to those products being shipped out in January that were expected to be available in February? You see what I'm saying? So again, it just doesn't make sense. I just feel like it keeps getting delayed, and you got to read these actual headlines that they're coming out with on each of these press releases. Just for the inexperienced trader, they'll read that headline and they'll be like, "Oh, great, let me hop in for a quick day trade," and then they end up getting burned because they didn't actually read the whole thing. So, right now we're in mid 2023. They're expecting to begin the production of their products in the fourth quarter of 2023. Qualification process is underway. Okay, so now we're in September, so just before the fourth quarter. This is the end of the third quarter. Okay, they actually signed a 10-year purchase agreement for over $400 million from Nephron Pharmaceuticals. So they're acquiring that facility in South Carolina. Okay. And then they're also promised that Nephron is going to commit to purchase orders over the next 10 years for over about $400 million worth of syringes. It says product delivery is scheduled for the first quarter of 2024, with revenue totaling approximately $30 million for the first 12 months and about $45 million per year after that for the duration of the term. So eye-popping headline. A bunch of moves were made that day. I remember specifically. And then the cost to acquire the facility, $50 million. Okay, so pretty big headline right there. 10 years for $400 million for a non-revenue generating company at that point in time. Well, that was huge. Okay, so that was in September of 2023. 8 months later, in May of 2024, when after their product delivery had been scheduled for the first quarter of 2024, now they're in the second quarter, and none of that happened. They didn't come to that term agreement. They actually terminated it on March 8th of 2024. Those product deliveries never happened, and then now we're at the end of May, and now they announced the signing of a 5-year, $200 million sales agreement with Nephron. Okay, so that first agreement was essentially cut in half. So instead of 10 years, it's 5 years now. Instead of $400 million, it's $200 million. Okay, so they lost a lot of value there. One good thing from that is, that they claim is that the acquisition price is $35 million now, as compared to the original $50 million that they stated. So they get about $15 million off right there. So that's really the only positive thing that came from this press release. Inexperienced traders who didn't know this company, again, saw that headline and said, "Oh, hey, 5 years, $200 million. It's a great deal." They did it for a quick day trade. They got burned. Again, I remember that day very specifically. Product delivery is now scheduled to begin late second quarter of 2025, with projected revenue totaling approximately $37 million for the first 12 months. So, again, they originally stated that product delivery was scheduled for the first quarter of 2024. Now they're saying it's to begin late in the second quarter of 2025, which is about current day. We're in the second quarter of 2025, not necessarily late in it, but we're about midway through. So if they close that deal, product delivery would have been happening in about a month or two from today's date. Okay, so now to really, I guess, assure that that deal was going to be legitimate this time, a couple of days later, in June 13th of 2024, they said they received a signed $30 million purchase order from Nephron, representing their first 12 months of surrender purchase commitments. Okay, so first purchase order from the deal. They're really reassuring their shareholders that, hey, you know, like this time it's going to happen, and we already got a big order from it. Now we're going to start generating revenue for real this time. Okay, so they have signed a committed $30 million purchase order from Nephron. But again, if you read it, they're still working to close on the agreement. These agreements are expected to close before the end of July, which is about a month and a half from June 13. But there could be no assurance. This purchase order is conditioned on the closing of the agreement. So when this agreement closes for the 5 years, $200 million, and the $35 million acquisition, then that $30 million purchase order will be official. So again, as soon as the asset acquisition is closed, which is expected before the end of the July, okay, so about a month and a half away. Let's move to the next one. Now we're in December of 2024, okay? 5 months past when they expected that deal to close. 6 months past the $30 million purchase order. 7-8 months past the new reworked 5-year $200 million agreement. Okay. Let's see here. They executed another 5-year sales agreement. This one totaled for about $50 million. Now, this is out of their facility in Europe, in Hungary. Okay, so right here, I didn't highlight it, but it says this is a CEO update letter to the shareholders. Okay, so it says in Q2 we signed an agreement to supply the customer with syringes manufactured at our Hungary facility, at least 500 million syringes, pretty much in 5 years. The project provides a clear path for revenue acceleration beginning in the first quarter of 2025. Okay, current day today, we're in the second quarter of 2025. All right, so just know that. The first delivery and revenue occurred in early December. This one's important. The first delivery and revenue occurred in early December. So they're saying that early December, so maybe just a couple days before that, they delivered their products to a medical supply companies serving these European countries here, and they got revenue. Okay, that's what I feel like that they're stating right there. We expect up to $400,000 in revenue in December 2024 and have internal revenue targets of more than $5 million in 2025. Okay. Now, to end the update letter, this is important because, again, a lot of these inexperienced traders do not read the full thing. Sharp's leadership team continues to work on finalizing the acquisition of the manufacturing assets in Eject Easy facility in Columbia, South Carolina. Although the time frame has been extended due to business developments with the selling partner, we expect to be able to give a more substantial update to our shareholders after the first of the year. So again, as I mentioned when I first popped up this page, 6 months after the, or 6 months after the announcement that they expect to close it at the end of July, here we are in December, and they're still working on it. Okay, so they don't officially have that 5-year, $200 million agreement, which was originally 10 years for $400. They don't have their facility yet, where they would finance $35 million to acquire it. And they don't have that original $30 million purchase order as a commitment to serve the first purchase orders of that agreement. They don't have any of that yet because they haven't finalized the acquisition. Here we are, December of 2024, okay? So this is the same press release here in March of 2025. It was a little long, so I just kind of split it in half. But in January, they did a $20 million offering. And with that offering, they paid down our debt to zero. That's a great thing. That's a great move by the company, okay? Again, this is another CEO update now in March, okay? So 4 months later. We are on track to begin generating revenue in the second half of 2025, okay? So in the last press release, they said that they started generating revenue in December of 2024. I don't know what happened, but it didn't happen. So for 2024, they didn't have a single penny worth of revenue. So again, they give a time frame on specific goals and revenue guidances, and for going on 3 years now, they haven't hit a single one. They just keep extending it and extending it. Okay, so let's see. Continue to work closely with them to qualify the parts of the Sharp's production process. So they're expanding their Hungary facility for that 5-year, $50 million agreement that I mentioned a couple slides ago. They haven't received any revenue from it yet. They haven't placed any orders from it yet because they're working on expanding that facility. So they've placed orders for better technology and better machinery, and it says they'll soon begin installation of that and operational qualification to make sure that they meet the standards, but it hasn't happened yet. So knowing this company and their history, that can even get delayed, meaning that their 5-year, $50 million agreement will get delayed. It says early qualification processes are underway. Those qualification processes can take months, and they're still early on it. So, and then again, at the last part of this update letter in March of 2025, our leadership team continues to negotiate with the selling partner on the previously announced project for manufacturing in South Carolina. So again, we're a year removed from expecting that the deal was supposed to close in July of 2024. There's still no $30 million purchase order. They still don't have their own U.S. facility. They're still operating out of European Hungary. Okay, so now they're stating they're confident in the revenue transition this year. So overall, I mean, I get why it had a pop yesterday. It's a micro float, especially since they just did a 300 or a 1 to 300 share reverse split. Here's the chart of it. This is the daily chart. So again, these candles here, like I said, I remember this day specifically. That's when they announced their 5-year, $200 million agreement that, of course, they still haven't executed to this day. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this company. And I just want you to take that information and do what you want with it. I don't want inexperienced shareholders to get burned the way I did a couple years ago, right around here. So just sharing my thoughts, throwing it out there. If you have any contradictions, have any bullish thoughts on this company, let it be known in the comments. I welcome all comments, of course. As I mentioned, this is a place where we're all here to learn and grow together. If I'm missing something, or if there's something that needs to be added on why we don't really have a positive outlook on this company, make a comment of it. But thank you guys for tuning in here, and have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.